All right, here we are. Welcome to Superior Fandom, the Nate and Joe Show, live from the Down and Out at 5th and Spring in downtown Los Angeles. My name is Steve Watson. I'm sitting in for the fantastic Nathaniel Joyner today while he's mourning the loss of the Dodgers once again to the St. Louis Cardinals. And he's out treating himself to a mani-pedi today to make himself feel a little bit better about it. To my left is, of course, the awesome Joe Holt. How you doing, Joe?
Pretty good. Jared and Mike are here also. Say what's up, guys.
Hey.
Mike's busy.
Mike, yeah.
We got Mike and Jarrett here. So we have 3/4 of the full crew, and then I'm just going to sit in. So today we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Dodgers because we are in Los Angeles, and they shit the bed pretty big time.
Steve, before we do that, I would be remiss. You're the guest in our little kingdom that we've built here. You're doing a wonderful job. I want to give you a minute to talk about your favorite player and probably the best football player of my generation, Peyton Manning. Before we get too into everything that anybody cares about, I want to give you the floor to talk about Peyton and all things Tennessee.
Okay, well, Peyton Manning, first of all, is the future governor of the state of Tennessee without an election. And my dog's name is Peyton, which is a fact. And Peyton Manning, 66,257 yards passing, 503 touchdowns, and 222 interceptions in his career, which is pretty incredible. And today, Brett Favre came out and said that if anyone's going to break his touchdown record, he would like for it to be Peyton Manning. So there you go, Peyton Manning. It's good to see you back in Orange. Playing in Denver like lights out. They did lose a couple games to the Seahawks, but who doesn't? And
the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers. But what he's doing right now at this point in his career is incredible. We should all take our hats off to what Peyton Manning is doing right now at his age. And people think he's in his twilight of his career, and I don't think so. I think playing in Denver in that rarefied air with that offensive scheme they've got and his quick release, which is quicker than ever, I think you're going to see him do some crazy things. And I do believe he will break 600 touchdowns.
So I just have one question before we move on to things that everybody cares about. How many frequent flyer miles do you get for 66,000 passing yards?
Well, I don't think that Peyton has paid for a plane ticket in the last 10 years. And so I think that he's got plenty of frequent flyer miles. Oh, and a bunch of Papa John's franchises, too. So that's what you get.
I'm with that. Now Peyton's at the peak of his career, and he's got a long-lost cousin by the name of Clayton that a lot of people in Los Angeles thought that he was also in the peak of his career. But he pitched 2 starts in the last postseason series against Cardinals and gave up a grand total of 11 earned runs himself. Now, the Giants-Washington National Series that ended yesterday with the Giants being the only team in California to move on to the League Championship Series round had 13 earned runs total. Whoa, I lost the mic.
No shit.
13 earned runs total given up over the course of 3.5 games. And Peyton gave up 11 on his own. Or Clayton, rather.
Clayton.
What do you think of that?
Well, we're calling him Clayton Manning.
Shut up, Mike.
I know the reference you're making that, Peyton Manning has a history of not having great playoff appearances, but he does have a Super Bowl win. Clayton Manning, also known as Clayton Kershaw, arguably the greatest pitcher in the history of the world if you ask anyone on the streets of Los Angeles except for today. This man, I actually think that Clayton Kershaw, according to the majority of people in Southern California, actually made the blood moon last night. Like, he hung the moon and the stars and created the eclipse. Because whenever he lost the game yesterday, the skies went dark over Los Angeles, and they just generally didn't do well. Now, there's a list of things that I think are going to be on the wish list of the Dodgers for 2015, and I'll go through these in order of importance.
This is going to be good, by the way.
Yeah. So
I'm excited.
We're going to go from 5 down, and they'll give you a bonus thing for the wish list. Number 5. The Los Angeles Dodgers on their wish list for 2015 is a bullpen.
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 Somebody throw the ball.
I think Joe, you called that a couple of months ago that the Dodgers are going to have problems with their bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily rocket science. I think, especially if you look at the 2014 playoffs and who's still going, defense and bullpens are what wins championships. And if you look at the Royals and the Orioles and the Cardinals and the Giants, it's no secret that it's defense and bullpens.
Right.
I mean, Baltimore hits home runs. Certainly a power hitting team, but it's defense and bullpens.
Of course.
Ultimately. What's number 4 on your...
Number 4.
One more thing as it relates to that. When you throw Clayton Kershaw on short rest, on 3 days rest, as Don Mattingly did, and he throws 6 shutout innings or 6 innings and gives up 1 run and 3 hits, and then he starts to get beat around by the heart of the Cardinals lineup in the 7th, it's okay to pull him. And I think it was Brandon McCarthy who said this on Twitter. If you expect a starting pitcher on short rest to give you more than 6 innings and 1 run, you're kind of just hoping for the best.
Right.
And I don't know if a new manager's on your list, but I'm excited to hear 4 through 1 because the Dodgers definitely...
Let me interject there right before we go on to that, because there's a thought and opinion that I had going into this playoff series too. The idea that the romanticism behind starting pitching has been so heightened because of 2 people, Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling, and the way that they used to perform going back-to-back when they were with Arizona. I think that really spurred this whole, you know what, once we get to the postseason, we can just throw these guys out there like bulldogs and not give a shit about their arms. Like, this is the time that you got to perform. You got to think these guys are pulling 200-some-odd innings. You know,
and that's how you ruin careers.
You're pulling weight of 220, I think, what, I forgot who on the Cardinals had it, but it was we were at like 500 innings over the last 2 years.
Probably Waino?
I guess so, yeah. I want to say so. It was like 500. And you think about that, and you're still playing in the playoffs, and you're going 3 days worth of rest, pitching 600, pitching 6 innings.
Yeah.
Like what you're saying, going 6 1/3, throwing 110 pitches out there. Your arms got to just be fucking.
Well, and also in
it's
the playoffs,
I mean, that's just insane. Just the numbers based on that. It's hard to think these guys can go up there and do it. It's ridiculous.
And and what people forget, you have a 162 game season. Every game counts. Blah 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 blah. I get all that. Every game counts, but you're not going to win every game. When you're in the playoffs, the pressure is incredible. You have to perform.
Huge.
So these guys are tired. They're worn out. They've been pitching all season, and now they're throwing harder and faster than they have all season because their adrenaline's fired up. They want to go out there. They know they're on a national stage, which you don't really get. The Dodgers get a national stage more than most teams besides the Red Sox and the Yankees. But these guys are going out there on a national stage, and now the pressure is mounting because every game counts. And I think that's what really kind of screws these pitchers over a little bit when you put them out there on 3 days rest. So I'll finish up my top 5, then we'll discuss it up. So number 5,
4.
bullpen. We talked about that. Number 4 is bullpen. That's the 4th most important thing they need. So bullpen. New shortstop, by the way. Can you get somebody over there to stop the ball?
I think they're probably going to end up taking Pablo Sandoval from the Giants and putting Juan Uribe or Justin Turner at shortstop. That's how I think that's going to get fixed come 2015.
It definitely needs to be fixed. Number 2 is better defense, especially with runners in scoring position, because that has been a problem, especially in this last series. When the Cardinals have guys on base, no one plays baseball for some reason. And number 1 is don't play the Cardinals in the playoffs.
Can't.
Just don't play the Cardinals in the playoffs. Somehow figure out how not to do that, because apparently the Cardinals have their number. They know how to play the Dodgers.
I think you did leave one key element off that list that I think is going to be the X factor for the Dodgers going forward, and that's just a new manager. I don't know. I mean, I get Yasiel Puig is cold, but I really don't understand how you bench that guy going against a lefty in an elimination game. You've got one of the most dynamic star players in the game, and you're going to sit him? I mean, I understand why you would do it. Like, I saw the stats, and I know that he's cold. But what does that do? What does that do for a 22-year-old kid that's already have head issues out the ass as is? Like, you can't sit a guy like that during that game. Like, there's no fucking way. Like, yeah, there's no fucking way.
The damage he may have done, I'm hoping that he's more fortified than that, mentally, but I haven't seen that in his career so far. But what you really hope is that they did not do permanent damage to him by sitting him in the most important game of the year and letting him pinch run toward the end of the game, and that's it. But one thing, the bonus thing that the Dodgers really need is they need to, speaking of Yasiel Puig, they need a new translator for him, because apparently whenever Mattingly told the translator, hey, go tell Yasiel Puig to hit that ball, what he said was, go out there and strike out 7 times instead. 7 strikeouts in a row, okay? But you still don't sit him, and I think the worst thing they could have done to use him as a pinch runner in an elimination game in the playoffs. I thought it was poor management. It was poor handling of the future of their franchise, basically.
Here's a little side note on that too, before we put a bow on this and move on to the NFL. But I really think Yasiel Puig needs coaching at all levels. I mean, you got a guy like Mark McGwire, who's his hitting coach. Mark McGwire was never really a good hitter. Mark McGwire hit for power, but he hit 220. Like, he's not going to teach anybody how to hit. He's not going to teach anybody plate discipline. He's not going to teach anybody any level of nuance to get the most out of a guy like Puig. Like, you can't expect a guy to be better than those that are leading him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's, I see, like, I mean, for example, you look at that Giants National Series and looking at it objectively. When Matt Williams took out Jordan Zimmerman in the 9th inning of that game with 1 out after he walked Joe Panik, that game went on for 9 more innings after that, and they lost. Baseball, especially in October, is determined by 1 or 2 key decisions at times that one may or may not be able to anticipate. And I just don't think that Don Mattingly or anybody on the Dodgers staff currently has the ability to make those decisions properly on a game-in, game-out basis to get them above where they are right now.
And that's evident because they cannot, and I don't think they will anytime soon, beat the Cardinals in the playoffs. The Cardinals every single year, I don't know how they do it. I don't know why, or what the magic dust is, but the Cardinals are built for the playoffs year in and year out. They just know how to do it. But, I'm all about numbers and facts.
I know what it is.
And $231 million. That's correct, right?
And all they got was a cool shirt that said they won the West.
Yeah. $231 million.
They were nice shirts, though. They were nice shirts.
Sure. Why that happened? They're drinking the same juice the San Antonio Spurs are. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a huge Dodger fan the other day, and every year he gives me that same call of, congratulations, you've made it to the playoffs. I have to say, congratulations, your Dodgers have made it to the playoffs too. And we always kind of go back and forth. And this year, he just threw it out there. He's like, this is fucking it. I'm fucking pissed. This is bullshit. It happens every fucking year. St. Louis Cardinals, how they do it, they always throw out some fucking tribe of guys that have no sense being there, fucking playing together, and somehow they just fucking formulate it and make it happen.
I tell people...
I used to think it was La Russa the entire time, but apparently it's not, though.
But apparently it's not. Obviously it's not just La Russa. And I talk about it all the time. Like, I suffer so that I'm like the Jesus Christ of sports fans. I suffer so that you don't have to. So I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. And for 14 straight years, we've won our division, and we have won World Series because of one bad call here and there. So I understand it. But what my point is the way you fix it is people stopped going to the games. They got sick and tired of being beat in the playoffs every single year. Next thing you know, you got a stadium that's half full every year, and that's what's going to happen, and it hits you in the pocketbook. You've got to... The responsibility falls on management and leadership, not necessarily ownership, but the way the pieces are all put together. And they get outplayed every year, for the past 2 years, by the Cardinals. And that's a problem.
That's a big problem.
Huge problem.
Okay, so the Giants just made the LCS, and we'll talk about that later. I spent 10, 15 minutes, whatever that was, talking about and listening to Dodger bullshit. And quite frankly, I'm about to throw up. And, let's be honest. Yeah, everybody only cares about football, and in particular, they care about gambling. And it's been a crazy year for the NFL, and it stretches back way longer than that. As I'm speaking right now, Roger Goodell is giving some other press conference that who knows what kind of horse shit he's talking right now. It's not going to make any sense. I don't understand. I don't understand how there's a $9 billion annualized business and you can't get a team of lawyers or PR guys or whatever to tell this guy to shut the fuck up and not say anything, and maybe just go on vacation while other people figure out what to do. But apparently that's the world we live in, and the world we live in says that people only care about gambling. And I think there's some interesting games today. I think Jarrett and Steve have some cool breakdowns. So Jarrett, let me ask you this. There's, I don't know, 15 games this weekend, 16 games, whatever it runs out to. What are the 3 picks that you think are going on this weekend that if you were going to put your money where your mouth is, you tell everybody what to do right now?
Okay, well, to preface that, first of all, I'm coming off a very frustrating loss this last weekend where I came 2 points short of hitting a 6-team parlay. So
first of all, what the fuck are you doing a 16 parlay? That's how you end up having a gambling problem, buddy.
Bro, that's Asian gambling, and that's coming from me. That's not good, dude. Yeah. That's Asian gambling, bro.
He's Asian, dude.
Look, if you need someone to talk to, I might get some help numbers for you.
Never sit next to me at a blackjack table in Vegas.
Right?
Never.
Hey, man, I hit the other 5, though. Goddamn.
Yeah, you're gonna split tens.
I'm going to have to follow Joe's advice and lower it down to maybe 3 or 4 picks because...
3 or 4. 3 or 4.
So 16 parlay, though.
16.
16. Oh, 16. I think you said a 16 parlay. I was like,
that would be incredible.
I was like, really?
Well, no, yeah. Then if I hit that, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Thanks, ass.
But as far as this next week goes, I guess let's talk about tomorrow's matchup. We got Indy at Houston.
It's kind of a tough one because Houston they can be streaky. That defense can be a little tough, but Andrew Luck, I don't know how you bet against him. It is at Houston. I think they're still rebuilding a little bit, even though they're not as bad as they were last year. But Indianapolis -3. I mean, I'm not a betting guy. I'm not some degenerate like Jarrett over here doing 16 parlays. But I would have to go with that one. I'd have to go with Indy, I think.
I like Indy as well. I also took them last week. They were also favored by 3, and I took them, and they covered.
I think that's probably a good bet, too, especially given the nature of the Thursday night football games that we've seen as of late. One team really does kind of usually come out and shit the bed. And in this particular instance, I see that, being a Houston problem, and I think Indy can for sure cover those 3.
Now, also, I am a Houston fan. I mean, like a fan in the sense that they tend to cover the spread often, and I take them. And I took them last week, and they covered against Dallas, even though they lost. It's a good thing. But
by the way, Tony Romo playing football. Go figure.
Tony Romo all of a sudden.
That's not something that any of us really thought would happen, I don't think.
I like Andrew Luck on primetime. I think he can handle the pressure. Better than the Houston offense, so I think that he's mature beyond his years, and I like Indy in that game.
It is a division game, and it is the first time that they're facing each other this season. Something to keep in mind, though, is that the Colts are 10-1-1 against the spread in the last 12 Thursday games. And
Jerry, you're not a degenerate. 12
And
Thursday games.
Houston-
That goes back to what, like 2002?
Yeah, and Houston is 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games on Thursday night. So
you got that Google machine working today, man. I like it.
What's the next game, man?
So first game, I like it, Indy. Second game, we got the Giants at Philly. Philly favored only by 2.5 right now. I don't really understand this. I would take Philly all day.
I would, but the thing is another person who's actually playing a little bit of football, now in the past couple of games is Eli. The Giants started off, kind of shaky, and now Eli's having, a couple better games.
Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah, he'll be the governor of Mississippi.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that's
he
Mr.
made
Scott
Ole
Harrington,
Miss,
by the way.
Yeah, he made Ole Miss relevant.
Audience participation. God damn.
That's a game that I wouldn't really touch. I don't think. Now, one thing that I would consider.
That's actually probably a better idea, and just don't touch it. But even if gun to my head, if I had to touch it, I'd take Philly.
I would,
and give up 2.5 points.
But the over and under is 50.5. Now, I understand the Kelly offense. You would go the over? I mean, with that Kelly offense, I like Philly to win the game just because I think that they're finally clicking on that offense right now. I think that Foles is getting it figured out. And it's early in the season, so everyone's not going to be worn out like they were last year at the end of the season from the offense being so high-powered and fast and quick-moving. And I think they have the pieces early in the season, so I like them to win the game. But I wouldn't touch the 2.5 because I don't know.
Can I just make a quick point,
that
too?
one is tricky.
Well, it's your show. Of course you can.
I just want to make a quick point as well.
Don't give him that. Don't give him that. You give him that, he'll take it every fucking week. Don't give him that.
Welcome to the Steve and Joe Show.
You've only been here like once in a month and a half, buddy. You're lucky you have a microphone.
I'm always going to have a microphone.
Only because you know how to plug it in.
Ooh, that's right.
So
Thanks, Ma. Thanks, Ma, for the school, Ma.
So no, one thing I want to make on that Giants game, and we can put a bow on it and go to the other one. The Giants came up with this new running back. I want to say his name is Adrian Williams. This is a real dark horse fantasy pick if you need a running back. The guy's got 131 yards and 2 scores in the last 2 games, and he only played the first half or the second half of the last game. So that's a cool dark horse fantasy pick. I think he had something like 20 carries for 85 yards and a score last week. So I don't know what that does against the spread, but if you need a fantasy pick, there you go.
Well, I will say I think that's going to be probably one of the best games of the week because if you saw, all of a sudden the NFC East they're playing some football.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing some football. And
I think Dallas does a good job. Like, when Dallas is good, I think it raises up the whole division. You know, whereas suppose you take a division like the NFC South and you've got, Carolina and everybody else, basically. You know what I mean? And who knows when Carolina could fall off at any given moment. Like, if Cam Newton gets hurt or what have you. Like that
defense is crazy, though.
Yeah, they really are. That front 7 is sick. I had them on my fantasy team last year, and they scored a defensive 6 for me literally every game for 4 or 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah, they put together a good squad. And, and Dallas is playing great, but, and Tony Romo's throwing the ball, and he's actually playing a little quarterback now for the first time in a long time. But let's take our hats off to Dez Bryant and the catches he's making.
That was a hell of a catch.
That's crazy. What he's doing, he's playing better than ever. And, I think it's all Derek Dooley.
UT to the bone.
Tennessee, even though he's the worst coach in the history of my college, he's still there for a minute.
Is there a way that you could get a power T sound effect on this for next time?
Yes.
That Steve Watson shows up. Jared, what's the third game on your
Rocky
pick?
Top.
Third game would be
Here, talk to me.
Denver at the New York Jets.
That's a gimme. That's a gimme. I mean, New York Jets are playing horrible right now. They don't know who's playing quarterback.
Oh, man, especially after that abysmal loss.
And Michael Vick looked old. Can barely move. He didn't have the weapons. Geno Smith is obviously right now not the answer.
Honestly, it was sad. I've been a Michael Vick fan for a while. Just I wasn't huge on his train or anything like that. I was kind of indifferent. But you always kind of respect the player. You always respected his skill set. To see him this last week, I was like, golly, man, I'm old too. Just looking at him, I remembered him when I was younger, and you're like, man, this guy's a mule. Look how quick he is. He's like a gazelle running. He's just brute force. He had a gun on him, and you see him this week, and you're like, what happened to him, man?
I mean, I'm a Falcons fan, so I got to enjoy that for a good minute watching him just down there. I mean, he wasn't winning Super Bowls, but what he was doing was packing the stadium, getting himself on the cover of Madden, just putting up numbers, playing crazy, and then of course we know what happened with the whole dogfighting thing, and then we went to Philadelphia. He was putting up numbers again. That game with the Jets, there's a reason why. they got him, and no one else picked him up and made him their starting quarterback, and he's their second-string quarterback because these coordinators and these head coaches and these scouts, they know what they're looking at. But yeah, it was like watching a dog try to die. No pun intended. It was awful. And 8.5 points with Denver.
8 or 8.5. Whatever.
8 or 8.5. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I would take it at 12.
Yeah, it doesn't
I mean, Denver, the way Peyton Manning's playing, I mean, my God. How are you going to stop him?
Yeah.
It's hard to say that right now. He looks untouchable at this point. He's playing great ball.
I'm going to throw out a fourth one in there because since, Steve, you mentioned that you wouldn't touch the Philly-Giants game. So in case, dear listeners out there, you want to pay attention to our advice, all two of you, hi, Mom. I'm going to bring up a fourth game here, and I'm thinking...
One quick thing on that Denver game, though, just something to note. No Monte Ball.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wait, he was out first quarter last week?
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be out for a while.
Like
He's out this week and possibly next week as well. And, I mean, I still think, 3 points, take that. I'm not saying...
It's 8.5. 8.5 points.
8.5, whatever.
8.5. So, yeah, no Monte Ball.
Just notice that Denver doesn't have a running back. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, but
and they still won by 21 points.
And but you still have a Peyton Manning.
Dude, the Jets don't even know where they are this week.
Yeah.
They don't even know. They don't know who they're playing. They don't know who their quarterback is. They don't know who's even.
I said, take the bet, but no Monte Ball. I don't know.
They had a 25-man roster.
No Monte Ball, but you still have a John Fox versus a Rex Ryan.
Do you think they'll fire Rex?
Yes.
By a win?
Not yet.
I think this is going to be his last season.
Really?
I don't know how he survives it.
Week 8.
I don't know how he survives it.
Week 8.
I got a week 8 bet. I got the end of the year.
If it's already starting to rumble, I don't see any.
When is their bye? When is the Jets' bye?
That's a good question.
They could get fired by the bye. I think they could go Oakland Raiders on this and fire Rex Ryan in the bye week.
Oakland Raiders. Are they still a thing?
I don't know.
I didn't know that Oakland was still a thing.
I think they're trying to move him to San Antonio.
Yeah. I thought whenever Allen got fired, they just fired the entire franchise.
They tried to move him to L.A., but there's never mind.
Are they the only team in the entire NFL that's had 72 head coaches in 20 years?
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Next question. What's your next game?
No, so as a fourth pick, though, I'm going to go with San Diego to Oakland.
Yeah. What is it, less than 10?
Oakland is a 7-point home dog, but either way, San Diego.
Yeah.
San Diego.
That's the easiest bet of the day.
Exactly. So let's run it down. I got Indy against Houston, take Indy. Denver against the Jets, take Denver. And San Diego against Oakland, take San Diego.
I've got one more I'll add to that, just
3 locks.
Just to put it out there. New England, all of a sudden, I guess Tom Brady got hit one too many times and put his brain right in the position where it's supposed to be, like we were talking about earlier, and learned how to play quarterback again. And someone pissed off his offensive line by saying they sucked, and all of a sudden they started getting all wound up. And he had this huge game last week, and I think that 3 points. They're 3-point favorites at Buffalo. They play well against Buffalo, and he's got a little chip on his shoulder, that offensive line. Bill Belichick probably has a cattle prod and just went in there and just shocked the shit out of all of them. Now they're actually protecting their quarterback.
That is an interesting
Just
point.
focusing on the cattle prod.
I do like, I would like New England in that one.
Yeah.
Just the cattle prod.
Just the cattle prod. Okay, that's Scott Harrington. What's up, Scott? How you doing, buddy?
Watson, you are go ahead. Watson.
What were you going to say, Steve?
Someone say something. Dead air is the worst thing in the world.
You were a diehard college football fan, and last week was probably the craziest college football week that I remember in a long time.
Absolutely.
I think 6 top 10 squads went down. I think there's also some great games this week. TCU, Baylor, Auburn, and Mississippi come to mind. And I know you're the champion supporter of the SEC fan club in Los Angeles, California, and I just wanted to get your take on the first half of the college football season so far.
Last week was one of the craziest weeks I've seen. Now, for me, I'm going to, we lost to the Florida Gators by 1, and that was a heartbreaker for me because I thought we really had a shot in that, and we did.
By the way, what's the skinny with that quarterback? This is probably the 3rd felony allegation for Florida in the last month and a half.
Florida can really produce some really class acts. I mean, Aaron Hernandez.
I thought they would get rid of it when Urban Meyer left, but it just hasn't been the case.
Dude, if there's a formula, stick to it. Stick to it. Trayon Harris, allegedly, he's being brought up on charges for alleged sexual assault. I wish he would have done that on Friday before the game and then got suspended before he came back and beat the Volunteers by 1. But he it happened after the game, so I guess he went back to Gainesville and celebrated that big win at Neyland Stadium. But let's go through the top 5 in the AP poll for this week. Number 1, Florida State. I disagree with that. I think Auburn should be number 1. I think, they put up better numbers. They look better. They play an SEC schedule. But it doesn't matter. 1 or 2 doesn't matter.
I think
it's the top 4.
I think if Auburn continues to navigate the SEC schedule as it looks like they will, I think they will have no problem leapfrogging Florida State by the time it matters.
If they beat, they've got Ole Miss this week.
Yeah.
If they beat Ole Miss handily, no matter what Florida State does, they will jump above them, I think. However, so number 1, you've got Florida State. Number 2, you got Auburn. Number 3, when did this happen? Mississippi State, fucking cowbells, are now number 3, tied for number 3 with Ole Miss. You've got two Mississippi teams are tied for 3rd right now.
I don't know how this happened.
I don't know when did it happen? Like when did these Mississippi teams that have sucked for 30 years, except for whenever Eli Manning was there and made Ole Miss relevant for 4 years, but for other than that,
4
for
years,
decades,
like a year and a half.
Yeah, they were, but they've been horrible forever. And then you've got Baylor at 5, Notre Dame at 6, and Alabama only dropped down to 7th, which. I guess Oregon drops down to 12 or 13 because they're Oregon, and I guess in a loss, Alabama just drops to number 7 because they lose to Ole Miss. But you got 2 Mississippi teams and Auburn in the top 3 because Ole Miss and Mississippi State are tied for 3rd. But, it's crazy.
By the way, also the team that needs to get a little shine, I think that you might have omitted off that list, is number 9 TCU. After they beat Oklahoma, after all the college football realignment, to see a small school like TCU, not only withstand that, but go on and beat a team like Oklahoma, and really contend for, if not a playoff spot, at least a Big 12 title. At least enough to be a legit pain in the ass. Like, you got to give props. And TCU's been good for a while. Like, Andy Dalton came from there. Like, they made it to the Rose Bowl. Before that, like, LaDainian Tomlinson, a lot of other really good players came out of TCU. But it's just, I don't know. I dig it when the little guy goes in with the corporate dominated, structure of college football these days and kind of holds it down.
Especially when your mascot is a horned frog.
Yeah.
What is a horned frog?
I don't know.
But I feel like they've been building for a while. They've been building up for this for a while. I was at that Rose Bowl game, and it was amazing to watch. I think they've been building. Baylor has been building. I mean, even after RG and all that stuff, you thought they would maybe fall off a little bit, and they're still they keep on trucking. Baylor right now is at number 5.
That Baylor TCU game, that's gonna be a hell of a football game. I don't know how much defense is gonna be played in that football game, but that's college football shit. Didn't Cal in Arizona last week put up like 120 points on a 100-yard field? Like, that's arena football, and arena football is only 50 yards.
Pardon me, that's my ride, guys.
Thank you, downtown, yay.
Hey, Jared, if anybody asks, I was with you all day.
Yeah. If you hear the sirens, just let me know. Sneak out the back. College football is in a weird place right now, and I think it's in a good place. You've got a lot of teams, and I'm being a homer a little bit, but, we do have losses. Tennessee's putting up some pretty decent numbers, and, of course, we play a Florida team that came in determined. You got Georgia's playing great. Alabama's Alabama, but they do have that loss against Ole Miss. Ole Miss and Mississippi State are all of a sudden great. You've got Baylor. You got TCU. You've got all these teams. The Arizona teams are both really, really
they're
good.
really good.
And I really think
Arizona beat Oregon for fuck's sake.
yeah,
Like, that's
they
crazy.
And Oregon, with one of the most prolific offenses still in all of college football. But I like where college football is right now. I like that, like you said, that some of these smaller schools are contending. I think it started like a few years back when you saw like these FCS schools like Appalachian State going into the Big House and beating Michigan. Then all of a sudden they realized, holy shit, these are all like really good athletes. We can win games. And I think it's really good. I think football's in a good place. I love the fact that Florida's unranked. I think that's amazing. And I'm okay with Tennessee being unranked because so is Florida.
Speaking of NCAA, another pick I had last week.
Uh-oh. Don't talk
And
about
I'm
Arizona
actually-
State.
and
USC.
I'm actually
Don't
quite
do it.
surprised that not only did they cover the spread, they straight up won Arizona State against.
That was
USC.
terrible coaching by Steve Sarkisian. Like, I'm a huge USC fan, and I defend them till death. But that was terrible coaching. The last 6.5 minutes of that game. They were up by 14.
Yes, it was. Good for me.
14, 17 points, whatever it was, with 4 minutes to go, and to blow it like that and on the Hail Mary without defending that guy, like that's horse shit and it's inexcusable.
I think one of the biggest problems that happen with the BCS is, part of the formula in the BCS is not, you don't get style points anymore. You don't get rolling up the score. Running up the score doesn't get you what it used to get you. So, if USC is up by 17, they end up, beating Arizona State by 35. It doesn't matter anymore because the computer just gives you wins and losses.
Yeah.
So now you see a lot of these head coaches because they're trying to be good sportsmen, and these are kids, and my God, they stop. They take their foot off the gas. And I think that's one of the biggest problems right now. And with that is, you see things like that. If he would have just kept his foot on the gas, kept going after him, then they would have won that game.
Let that be a lesson to you, kids. Always go for the throat.
Always go for the jugular. Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
Don't play safe.
Yeah, just get out there and play.
Just go.
Run
and gun, always.
Stop pulling your starters. You've got a starting quarterback for a reason. You got these guys for a reason. If they get hurt, I understand it. But these coaches, you see it all the time. They'll pull their, some of their starters out. They give them rest. They want to just be good sportsmen. And the next thing you know, they give up the game on a Hail Mary. That's bullshit.
That's total bullshit.
I agree.
Points on the board.
I'm really excited that Los Angeles can take today and all of a sudden become a hockey city, being that it is the first game for the LA Kings. I hope they defend their cup really well, whatever that means. It's hockey. Good luck to you.
Yeah, great.
Have a blast. Do well. Win games.
Go skate.
But finally, the Dodgers are out, and the Giants are still moving.
How the fuck does this
I really don't know. Like, it took an 18-inning game. It took 200 runs. I think I'm going to get hit with a bat now.
What you guys, luckily we don't have cameras on this show because what you haven't seen is Joe's been touching himself for the last 15 minutes waiting to talk about this Giants and the beating the Nats. But now you got to go to play against that juggernaut, the St. Louis Cardinals. And I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, in the last, 5 World Series, one of those two teams has been in the World Series for the last 4 or 5.
Since 2010, either the Giants or the Cardinals have won the National League.
So potentially 4 in a row. Okay.
Wow.
5 in a row, it would be.
They 5 in a
They've
row.
alternated every year since 2010.
Those two teams, they're just built for the playoffs. I don't know what it is. They're built. This is with Lincecum and just having the worst couple of years ever for the Giants. And like you said earlier, probably will not see any action in the postseason.
Yeah, I think if he pitches, either something really weird is going on. The Giants had a 18-inning game on Saturday, and ended up. Tim Lincecum was the only guy on either team that didn't end up in the game.
18.
And I know how that's possible. But if he pitches at all, the rest of the playoffs, I think something weird happens. And I think we have the possibility of impending Michael Morse off the DL for the league championship series and beyond. And I wonder if Lincecum's roster spot is the one in question if Morse becomes available.
And as far as his career, it might be at a point now where change is good. And if he goes to a different team with a different pitching coach and a different situation, maybe change is good for him. Maybe a change of position. Maybe you throw him in the bullpen. I don't know. But I felt for a long time that with his delivery and that long stride and everything that he was going to weaken at some point. So I don't know if it's coaching or what it is, but there's something that happened in his career. However, congratulations to you for your San Francisco Giants going up against the Cardinals in the NLCS.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen. To tell you the truth, I don't think anybody had any, I didn't think we were going to beat the Nationals, to be completely straight up. I wasn't sure that they were going to get by the Pirates. And, I think the playoffs comes down to putting pressure on the other team to make mistakes and make decisions. And I think Bruce Bochy did that a little bit more than Matt Williams. And I think it's going to be a hell of a chess match between him and Mike Matheny. And I say, fucking bring it on.
What I really like, and the series I'm really looking forward to, the Giants-Cardinals are going to be fun, but the series I'm looking forward to because I'm a fan of baseball. And I know that anyone outside of Maryland or Missouri don't care about this series, but because baseball is such a local sport, that's why you don't hear a bunch of national talk shows talking about baseball ad nauseum. But the Orioles-Royals game or series could be really fun to watch. I'd love to see if Ned Yost is going to bounce back and become a better manager, and him against Buck Showalter, because Buck Showalter, in my opinion, might be the best manager of the game right now.
He's definitely calmed down a lot. I don't know if I'd put him over Bochy, but there's only one guy that could be that, that could hold a candle to him in that chess match, if you will. And I think, obviously I'm 28 years old, so I didn't get to see a lot of this, but it reminds me of 80s baseball. I think the rest of the playoffs are going to be 80s baseball. It's going to be a lot of steals. It's going to be a lot of small ball, getting the ball over, playing proper, just proper defense, station to station, things of that nature. And it's going to be one hell of a dogfight. And if the first week and a half of this playoffs is any indication, nobody knows what the fuck is going to happen.
It's been a weird, crazy playoffs. I really thought that the Nationals might take that Giant series, and I'm glad to see the Nationals lose. But the Baltimore, man, I wouldn't sleep on them. I wouldn't sleep on Baltimore at all. But I know if I'm Bud Selig or if I'm Major League Baseball, my biggest nightmare for the World Series.
The I-70 World Series?
Would be the worst thing ever would be to see the Cardinals and the Royals, because no one outside of the state of Missouri, unless you're a baseball fanatic, is going to watch it.
That would be such a Bud Selig way to go out in his final World Series. Steve, we got to get out of here and wrap this up, but I just wanted to say thanks for filling in for Nate. You're rad all the time.
Killer job,
Mike. Thanks for doing all that you do and making it possible for me to speak loudly. Thanks so much. I think we're done. You guys could check out superiorfandom.com. Steve, thanks again. We really appreciate it.
And Nate, get well soon.
Your vagina is showing.
Yeah, and your mangina will heal over time.